Another local lawmaker plans on objecting tonight. First Coast Congressman John Rutherford, who was one of the first lawmakers to announce his intent last week.
This process was set up so that state legislatures would be able to maintain their plenary authority over elections within their various states. And in some states that was violated. And that's how and that's why we are objecting to those states.
The former Jacksonville sheriff was in the Capitol as the building was breached by some of the president's supporters. He details what happened as it happened with On Your Side's Kaylee Tracy.
I've never witnessed anything like this. Our country has never experienced anything like this. We were on the House floor, as I said, going through the constitutional process. And we got information that the Capitol had been breached.
Republican Congressman John Rutherford, representing Florida's 4th District, recounts the moments the Electoral College review was halted Wednesday afternoon.
Yeah, I left immediately. I was going through the tunnel as Capitol Hill police were running back to the Capitol. One of the first times I'm running away and they're running to it.
The Capitol Police and Sergeant-at-Arms sent emails and text alerts to Rutherford and those working at the Capitol. Due to a security threat inside the building, immediately move inside your office, close, lock, and stay away from external doors and windows, the alerts read in part.
This is a very sad day. This lawlessness is just un-American. Congress, we were on the floor. We were following a peaceful and well laid out legal process within federal law and the Constitution. And they've now turned it into a national disgrace.
Rutherford and his staff took shelter in his office.
We're the party of law and order, and I wish they would respect that. I don't blame the president for this. I blame the people that are committing the lawlessness.
Kaylee Tracy, First Coast News, On Your Side.